Welcome back, squad. Today we're talking about fantasy football running back handcuffs. Let's get rolling. Welcome back, squad. Like I said, we're talking about fantasy football running back handcuffs. Let's get going right away. So if you don't know, a fantasy football running back handcuff, or just a running back handcuff, I should say, is the backup to a starting running back. Running back is probably the most injury-prone fantasy football position, so it's nice to have some good backups. Now, a handcuff is simply the backup to the starter, right? It's not a starter, right? I would go out and probably prefer a starter over 95% of backups or handcuffs, right? You want people to play, obviously, but injuries are going to happen. They're going to be hard to predict, right? You look at teams last year with injuries. You look at last year, things like injuries and suspensions have come up. So like Jonathan Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, Nick Chubb, Raheem Mostert, right? A lot of these guys, they maybe weren't injured the entire year, like Chubb, but some of them were injured for weeks on a time. Ramondre was on the IR for a while, right? There are weeks that are going to come and go where you're going to have to find a backup. And a running back handcuff is one of the best replacements you can get. Now, would I draft an RB handcuff for my starter? Absolutely. I definitely would. If you have Kenneth Walker, you should absolutely go get Zach Charbonnet. Absolutely. If you get Zach Moss, you should absolutely go get Chase Brown. Now, would I get a handcuff for an opposing team where I don't have the starting running back on that team? Maybe. For example, the Baltimore Ravens have Derrick Henry. If Henry gets injured, God forbid, in like week 2, Justice Hill is technically a handcuff option. Dalvin Cook is technically a handcuff option. Do I trust any of the Ravens running backs outside of Derrick Henry? No. Now, does that mean I shouldn't draft Derrick Henry? Not necessarily, right? It's still easy to like Henry. There's still a lot going for him. But I'm a little bit more cautious to get his backups than I am to get him. And that's something that if it falls to me, it's great. And I love the way it works out, right? If I can get Zach Moss and Chase Brown, I love that. If I can get that order where I get both the starter and the handcuff, I think it's great because then you have an option who's the starter, then you have the backup option who's still a sufficient running back. And part of it too is just learning the team, right? You learn that the Ravens are going to split their carries between multiple backs because they have a stupid 11-man committee before Henry. And so if they lose Henry, I envision they'll go back to something similar because they still have Cook, they still have Hill. They did lose Gus Edwards, but they will get Keaton Mitchell back at some point. Some teams, when there's an injury, they like to split into more of a committee, and some teams still stay with the one back. So do your research, learn which teams do that. I'll give you an example to start. Now, Arizona recently signed DJ Dallas. Is he decent? Yeah, of course. But if James Conner goes down, I wouldn't put all my eggs in the DJ Dallas basket, right? They still have backups they're going to use. Whereas the Vikings, we saw this last year, Ty Chandler's still in the backup role. But if Aaron Jones goes down, which I think they're going to use Chandler anyway a good amount, as it is. If Aaron Jones goes down, Chandler's going to take an elevated role. And they will probably mix in some other guys, but I still see Chandler getting 60-75% of the work. Right? So learn the team that you have the handcuff for. It's pretty useless to have a handcuff on a team if they're not going to play him. We got a lot of cool stuff coming. Please make sure to check out our other videos. Stay tuned for more. We're going to get into mock draft season coming up soon. Bunch of exciting stuff. Check us out on Twitter. Peace out, Girl Scouts.